Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
I first met this man at the Newport Beach Film Festival for his documentary, Pick It Up-Ska in the 90s. He is a member of what I freely call a Ska Super Group, and reminded me with their single a couple of months ago, Like That, why I'm happy to be single. Mike Berault of Bite Me Bambi, how are you today?
I'm absolutely great, man. Thanks for having me. That was a great intro too. Wow, I feel like I'm all pumped up now. Hey. I didn't know I was in a super group, so that's rad.
Come on, it's a Ska Super Group, and right over my shoulder, you can see Bite Me Bambi's playing at 1:30 at the Brew Ska Ska this weekend in Orange County.
They actually said that's the super group lineup. That's the time when super groups play was at 1:30. So I said, okay, great.
Well, I mean, you're doing something right. And
by the way, something right. It's good to be on the bill.
And that travel time for you, I know how far you really have to go to get to that park in between. What is it, Santiago Park? Right in between.
It's for my house. It's literally like, I think it's 20 minutes, so it's not a big deal. So
well, because it's between the city of Orange and Irvine, right there on the border. So that's going to be a huge drive.
Actually, when we were kids, I grew up about a mile from where I live now in Anaheim, here where I am now, and we used to drive out there. That was like the country for us. Like we'd all get in our Volkswagens and drive out to Santiago Canyon. It was like spooky. There's all kinds of ghost stories about Santiago Canyon out there. But yeah, it's a great spot. We actually, in the 90s, they did, Mike Park did Ska Against Racism there, same place. So it's a really cool spot.
Nice. And how much time are you going to have to drink with the rest of us plebeians in the audience? Man,
let's see. We half-hour set, 2:00, figure 2:15. So 2:15 to about 7 p.m. I would think, or no, 8 o'clock or whenever less than Jay goes. I will be drinking with the peons for sure. Mainly because I'm a peon myself, really. So it's my people.
All right, that means in between sets, right after the toasters, because we got to give them some time to take a break. Mike and I are going to meet up at the brewery's booth, because they got some stuff that's like 19 to 25% alcohol, and we're taking a couple of shots together.
Oh, dude, I think that sounds great. I actually love the brewery. Bite Me Bambi will have their own signature glassware at this event. Oddly enough, we just got it without even knowing we had this event coming up, and it came in like last week. So we have pint glasses at the Bite Me Bambi booth. So when they run out of glasses, I imagine people will go on a run and come over and have to buy something. So, but we'll meet over at the brewery for sure, man. That sounds great.
Sounds good, man. Hey, we don't live that far from each other. I'm over in Fountain Valley. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, very close. Very close. Awesome.
So take me through it. Everybody has been in a successful ska band, and here you guys are, Bite Me Bambi, now playing together. And that's why I throw in super group, Save Ferris and everybody else that's going along with this. I mean, you're doing something right. You were in My Superhero, so.
Yeah. To be honest, I've been friends. So I've been playing ska music since I was 17 years old. So I won't say I'm over 40 now. So yeah, it's been a very long time, but a lot of these guys, like I grew up with Brian Mashburn from Ferris and now Bambi, and through him I met T-Bone. I met T-Bone actually when he was in the Nuckle Brothers years ago, and they were who I fanned out about when I was like 16 and 17. I would go to Nuckle Brothers shows and really like them, and we all just kind of became friends. And we're in bands. We were all in different high school bands, and would play around. So I was in a band back in those days called Fish Truck. It was amazing. But yeah, so it was really fun. And so we've known each other for that amount of time. So when it came to, obviously everybody has their own type of success. I mean, Ferris obviously was very successful for Mashburn and T-Bone. And then they went on to do Starpool, which was also very, very successful here in Orange County, especially. But when it came down to it, we actually were all just hanging out. We were in New Orleans actually drinking at Mardi Gras, and Talina asked me. She said, I'd really like to have you in this project, and I was like, no, I'm good. and then I thought about it. I'm like, actually, it'd be kind of fun. I've never been in a band with T-Bone or Mashburn, so it ended up working out great.
Here's the funny thing about ska versus metal. So let's just go through list some of the bands, like the Nuckle Brothers, as you mentioned, Starpool, Save Ferris,
Sure.
what was the other one? Karate in the Garage.
Karate in the Garage. Yeah, that's Selena's old band.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then we'll look at metal bands that were like Slayer, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Powerwolf, and like the names of these
Wolf
bands,
Mother.
exactly. Like almost to the point, like define the genre that they're playing from the minute you hear their name. And like, so, Bite Me Bambi, like, yeah, that sounds like a ska band. Powerwolf, oh, that's a German metal band. Yeah, of course, makes sense just from the name.
Grindcore, yeah.
How did Bite Me Bambi and the name come about for you guys?
So that's more of a Talina question, but here's how it was explained to me, because it had to be explained to me. So Bite Me Bambi was, it's a reference in the Josie and the Pussycats movie. So when Josie and the Pussycats movie came out, I was already a grown-ass man. I was like working for a living and making payments and stuff. So I don't think I saw it until about a year and a half ago. But they mentioned, okay, yeah, the band's going to be called Bite Me Bambi. And my thing was like, okay, well, hey, man, this is your pig we're screwing. I'm just holding the ears. That's fine. So, no, but it's actually really grown on me. I actually like the name now. But before I was like, I don't even know what that means. Is that a sexual reference? Is it a actual deer reference? I had no idea. But yeah, so anyway, that's that.
And for people that don't know, Josie and the Pussycats is celebrating an anniversary this year, so it's a perfect tie-in to Bite Me Bambi, the band.
If you were on Bambi's Twitch stream, which we can talk about later, you would know that because we actually did a watch party with our Twitch streamers, so it was really kind of cool. So I didn't know that happened to work out perfectly.
Well, the Brew Ska Ska is this weekend. The Brew Haha and Cameron and everybody over there have put on some amazing events. The Brew Ho Ho for Christmas, the Brew Hee Haw in the summer at the OC Fair. They did lager, I think it was called Loggers and Lumberjacks, where it was just lager beer or lager. He's going to kill me for it when he sees me on Saturday, but it's going to be one of those things, where they did loggers and breakfast. Like it was all day pancakes and beer. So like when you get to sit there and you're on a card or with the Hepcats, Less Than Jake, and everybody else, is it kind of like a high school reunion because you guys have all toured and played with each other at one point or another?
Yeah, kind of. It's like a reunion, only it's like maybe from a guy you were at summer camp with, not your best friend in the world, but man, you might have been tight for a few days on that Warped Tour in '99 or whatever it was. To be honest, looking at all of those bands, Aggro, I think, is the only one that Hepcat and Aggro are probably the tightest with those two. Other than Half Past Two, yeah, because our drummer Dan is also the drummer for Half Past Two, so we do see Half Past Two quite a bit, and they're friends. But other than that, like Less Than Jake, they're heroes of mine. You know what I mean? My first band, My Superhero, was on a Stiff Dog Records comp in 1995, and a bunch of bands, like 30 bands on it, and they were they were the track right above us, and so I heard them so much, and I thought, man, they're great. And then years later, I was really close to getting signed to Capitol when they were doing their deal, and so I know them from that. But they're, really great dudes. But I would say that it is like a kind of like a summer camp, more like a What's Up summer camp. And then you definitely will go over to the cliques that So I guess we will be hanging out a little bit I'll be hanging with Roger and Jesse a little bit from the Agrolites, I'm sure.
I dig it, man. And you got your Devo helmet in the background.
Yeah,
so I'm mispronouncing everything today just because like I keep saying it. I have Invisalign, so everything like sounds like I'm slurring all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I sound like somebody that doesn't know how to talk anymore. And,
right.
And your drummer's going to be doing double duty since you guys are going back to back with Half Past Two. So he doesn't have to change out the drum set; it just stays on.
Yeah, I was like, changeover for that sound guy is really great. That sound guy got a break, so that's awesome. But yeah, he's gonna have to eat his Wheaties that morning for sure. Eating your Wheaties, kids, is an old reference for a cereal that used to be out. I don't know if Wheaties are still out.
But they still are, and they still taste the same, so they haven't changed much.
Good.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to take some vitamins that day and get through those sets. It's gonna be hot, so but at least he'll be done early, so that's good.
Right. And then we're just going to be drinking at all the brewers that are going to be there. What's the fun part about being not only in a music festival and playing a set, but also being able to go drink and it's like included in your paycheck?
Yeah, that's awesome, right? I mean, how cool is that? I think the only thing funner than being in a band is being like a beer rep. That might be really cool. That's if that's not a sought after job, it should be. But yeah, no, I talk about it. Talk about getting paid to hang out with your buddies and see some great bands, because every one of these bands is outstanding. So they really, I mean, they really outdid themselves with this lineup. I think it's really awesome. So to be able to see these great bands and have a few beers and hang out. Here's the hot tip, kids. If you've ever been to one of these before, I don't know how they're going to do it this year, but in the past, towards the end of the day, nobody wants to take a full keg home. So they'd start pouring a little heavy, I think, at the end of the day. So get your pint glasses at Bite Me Bambi's booth and head over. Just tell them to fill it up.
Get your pint glasses at the Bite Me Bambi booth. Get your autographs and your pictures taken.
Sure.
Have them fill up your pints. We mentioned the brewery earlier, and the only reason why we tease them so much is because they have like 20% ABV on everything. So make sure you have a designated driver or a cab or an Uber or Lyft or whatever. We'll plug them all because your face is going to go numb after like 3 ounces of some of their stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really smart advice, actually. Parking's pretty horrendous there. It's pretty far out. So if you can take an Uber and get dropped off and walk in, that's probably the best bet for anybody. So that's the locals tip from the guy who's been to one of these before. So first time playing it, but I've been a few times. I actually when Really Fish used to do them quite often, so I'd go and see Aaron and those guys quite a bit when they would play. So it's a fun time.
Being a musician, and most parents will look at it and like, oh, it's a hobby. It's something to improve your skills in mathematics when you're studying. Like, did you ever think at any point in time at this age in your life, you'd be like, I'm a professional musician. I'm going on tour. I've played with all these great musicians and other artists. And now here I am. I get to play virtually at home.
Yeah, that'd be better, actually. We could just do the beer festival here and just have we only need 10 breweries to come here. That'd be fine. I don't even need more than that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when you're a kid and you, when you're a kid, it's great because there's unlimited possibilities, but I think you're too young to realize that. And I think that, for me, I didn't play music for 10 years. More than 15 years, so I got out of it and had to get a real job and go to school and do all this stuff. And to get back as an older man, to come back into it, I really appreciate everything, like Warren Zevon would say before he passed away. It's like, you just learn to enjoy every sandwich that you have. You enjoy every big crowd. You enjoy every little bit of it, because you don't know when your last one's going to be there. And as a kid, I think I went from not thinking we were going to do anything. And once No Doubt got big, I was like, oh, well, we're next, right? Like we're going to be next, clearly, because, No Doubt doesn't have anything we don't have. And we know that we've known those guys for years. They're not a big deal. And here they are. They're a huge deal and super talented musicians and got massively huge. And then you're looking at a band like The Offspring that got big, just from Garden Grove, right up the road. And then Real Big Fish and all these bands. It's like, oh, well, we got to be next. The reality is that time and for ska music especially was white hot. And I think you go from having no hope about getting signed to every hope, like, oh, I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life, to, oh, wait, this isn't financially viable for anyone, including myself. And I have to figure out maybe how to do this as a hobby. And now that I can actually have the time and energy to do it and be with my friends, just like it was when we were 18, then I think it's awesome. But don't give up, kids. That's the moral of my story is don't give up, please. The world needs real artists. So
it's always interesting with the American music scene specifically. Like the 70s punk scene was very much New York, and then LA as well. LA was the hair metal scene. San Francisco was the thrash metal scene. Sure. Seattle was the grunge scene, and Orange County somehow hit with ska.
Yeah, why ska and pop punk, a pop punk sound too. Yeah.
Why is that such inherently Orange County when LA is only 45 minutes away without traffic?
Well, you know why? I think it's because the same reason why I think punk got big here in the 70s and 80s. It's a different style of punk here, but you can't deny that Agent Orange didn't have one of the most important albums, or the Adolescents didn't have an important albums all in the 80s. So it's the Social D too. And so I would say it's the same thing, is that you have kids here who aren't super jaded, right? And I think in the time when they were growing up, when I don't know how old you are, but when we were kids weren't really precious like they are now. Like now you wouldn't let a kid walk across the street to a school on his own. And I remember walking to the second grade by myself, so like, I think we were all latchkey kind of kids at that time. And we were just getting into stuff. If you wanted a band, then okay, well, you better learn how to play some. If you didn't know how to play, you learned from your friend, or maybe he had a video that you could watch, or nobody took lessons. Like if I wanted to learn how to play songs, I had to, skate to the bus stop, take a bus 45 minutes to the music store, save enough to buy the book, get it back home, learn it. Same thing with vinyl and all that. Like you really had to love it and want to be a part of it. And there was an effort. Now there's kind of no effort, where you can find out anything you want to know about any band I've ever been in 5 minutes. You can just click on there and, oh, here's what I found out. So I think in that regard, I think there's people who really wanted it. They really wanted to be in a band, and then they really wanted to make a scene and play. And there was no places for them to play, so we had to do it ourselves. In the 90s, I did a bunch of shows called the Big Ska shows at in Huntington Beach at the Side by Side roller rink. We had 1,000 kids show up. It's crazy. So I think that we really know how to foster a scene here, and I think it's a DIY kind of ethos that was in the air at that time. And nobody ever looked to anybody else for permission. They just did it, and then they asked for forgiveness, like if they did something wrong. And that's exactly what it takes, I think, to build something great. Is not having a care of what the outcome is, just kind of putting your foot forward and doing it every day.
Well, I am old enough to remember walking to school by myself in the second grade.
Yeah.
And I also remember I decided to take a class at Orange Coast College before the world fell apart.
Okay.
And just to keep your mind sharp and just have some fun.
You were the oldest guy in the room. I did that too.
Second oldest, actually. Second oldest. There was a grandmother who came back to class.
There you go. Okay.
And this one guy's like, oh, I made my girlfriend a playlist, and like, I was like, how many songs are on there? He's like, oh, there's like 40 songs. I was like, kid, you don't know what love is. So you tried to make something fit on a 90-minute cassette.
Yep. Exactly.
And then you can sit there
and then make it
like,
balanced. Make it balanced where, I had to use vinyl here, and it's really low compared to the high def of a full cassette, or back in the day, or a CD, God forbid. Yeah, it was. You could the perils of the recording levels when you're recording it on a 90-minute cassette, and then you do like, I want to put Hey Jude on it, but I only have it on vinyl, and it's like. It's cool. But yeah, dude. And also, I don't think they know the perils of, like, I didn't have money for a single, so if they were playing a live record on like college radio somewhere, I'd put a cassette in and record it. Like, we'd record that right off the radio, and then I'd have that. I'd be like, this is cool. I came up. I remember I did that with Fugazi. They had a KXLU had a live Fugazi show, and I had that on a 90-minute cassette. I almost fit the whole thing on it.
And the worst part is the DJ comes on right before the chorus hits and goes 88.5, whatever station.
Yeah, exactly. 88.5 KXLU. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you guys are still rocking out. You're having a good time. The Brew Ska Ska is gonna be a big deal. It was initially the Brew Haha, and Cameron decided to add music into it, and his scene, that flavor. When you get to sit there and not only be close to home, like tour, because you guys are going on tour. I think you guys are playing a couple of shows in the Midwest in November.
Yeah, we're going to November. We're doing some flyouts in November, so that'll be fun with the Slackers, and 2 shows with the Slackers and 1 show on our own in Indianapolis. So that'll be really fun. But yeah.
Is it almost at this point, because you've been playing for, and I don't want to say so long, but you've been a professional musician about half your life at this point, if we even count high school. When somebody in your own hometown recognizes you, at least your skills, and to come play for them, like, how significant is that? Because you had to go away to make it in order to be recognized at home, because everybody else is like, oh yeah, I remember them playing in the quad in high school or whatever.
Yeah. There's a certain, truth to that. What people happen, people have lives. So like, if you are a surprise, people are alive. If you're a person that maybe sees the band in high school or goes, looks at it, like they check in with you and they go out in their lives, right? And then a few years later, they come back and they're like, oh, wait, I have to pay for one of your shows now? Wait, hold on. All these people paid? Like, that's amazing. So if you Bite Me Bambi, for example, our first show was a couple of years ago at the Garden Amphitheater, but we just did the front piece of it by the concession stand. There's a little stage and a 200 capacity, sold it out. It was great. And then we just did the Summer Sizzler there in August, and they had 600 cap on the inside, or 620 people paid or something like that. So, and then I had a friend say to me, wow, there's a lot more people here than I thought, and a lot more people that are into you guys than the first time I saw you. I'm like, thanks for checking in, because they do the check-in. So there is some truth to be said about kind of going out and getting big, or going out and gaining fans. But your hometown fans don't know that until they check in with you. You know what I mean? They're like, they come back and look and go, oh, I guess you guys are doing all right. And then, it's the same guys that'll come that want to be on the guest list when you play the Palladium. The same people like, hey, bro, I saw you guys back then. I haven't seen you since. Can you get me and my kid on the list, or me and my girl on the list? So that's how it happens,
right. Hey, remember I was your 6th grade bully? Can I come to the show?
Dude, believe it or not, somebody did that. A guy, I'm not going to say his name because a lot of ska people know him, but there was a guy who hit me up the day before the show and was like, yo, need to be on the list, me, this person. And I'm like, I'm not even, I promoted that show at the Garden Amp. So I was so busy that day. I'm like, you know what? I can't even get back to this guy. And then he hit up my girlfriend because he knows her as well. And she's like, how insensitive can you be? Like, you know what he's dealing with right now with all these bands and stuff? Like, and the guy totally apologized profusely and, whatever. So, yeah. So we have some regulators out there keeping people straight for us. Thank God for my girlfriend. She really took care of him.
Oh, man. I dig it. So
yeah.
you guys have a half hour, 45-minute set.
It's a half hour, I think. Yeah.
Okay. What can we expect from the half hour set from Bite Me Bambi on Saturday?
Oh, I don't know. You might hear some music. No, we've got a pretty tight 30-minute set. We're going to try to pack it with as much as we can. You'll probably hear like that. You'll probably hear, like you mentioned earlier, you'll probably hear, I don't want to give too much away. You'll hear the hits. You'll definitely hear the hits. We've got 5 or 6 songs that are all out there, and those are the usually ones we play when live. We'll mix in a couple new ones, but we don't want to bore anybody. It's only 30 minutes, so we got to make it count.
Okay, I have to ask for my own sanity, especially with, the music video for Like That. Why? Oh, why? And Tahila in her bio says she will never drink Smirnoff Ice. What's the deal with Smirnoff Ice?
So, okay, there's a little story behind the Smirnoff Ice. So, when our very first show, like I talked about at the Garden Amp, our bass player, Ryan Brown, he had set up his own bass. What is the story I heard? He set up his own bass and he loaned it to one of the bands that was playing before us. He said, go ahead, use it, whatever. Just, let me know, whatever. So, and then I'll use it when we play. Okay, great. So he goes up to check his bass before we play, and he opens up the case and there's a Smirnoff Ice in there. And so, of course, the rule is you got to drop one knee and drink it. So we happen to have video of it because we thought it was really funny of him doing it. We saw the whole thing, him open it up and drinking it. So a couple weeks later, I went to the store. My whole plan was I was gonna ice Talina, but I went to the stores right around Christmas time, and I got this box, and it was Ryan Brown is a big Lakers fan. It was a big Lakers Cavassier box, really nice looking. And I asked the guy, I was like, store, how much for the box? He goes, oh, it's free. I'll give it to you. I was like, oh, great. Okay. So I put a 22-ounce Smirnoff Ice in there. I brought it to the rehearsal, and I said, hey, man, I just subtly closed him. I was like, hey, dude, do you like, you're a Laker fan, right? He goes, yeah. I'm like, would you be interested in this? Do you drink Cavassier? Would you like this bottle of cognac that I got? It's like a really cool bottle and all this. And I was like, great. And he's like, yeah. So I go out and get the thing. I give it to him. And we're standing there. I'm like, you're not going to open it and check it out? He's like, oh yeah. And he opens it up and there's an ice in there. And he drank it down. And ever since then, it's just been our shtick where we ice people, or the crowd our fans ice each other. They ice us on stage. I mean, on our Twitch stream, you could donate $30 to our PayPal. You could ice us as many, you could ice us on there. So it's just a shtick that I guess we're going to keep going through it. I tried to get a sponsorship from Smirnoff, but it turns out they don't like their product being associated with a punishment. So
see, I had never heard of this thing till I saw the series Heels, and they were icing each other. I was like, what the hell is that? And now you mention it, like I've never even heard of like getting iced.
So it's crazy when you're on the internet. People say that, like from other countries, they'll be like, this guy from Germany one time said, "What is the big deal about drinking lemonade out of a bottle?" And we're like, okay, it's not lemonade; it's a really gross malt liquor. But yeah, dude. To be honest, I'd heard of it, but not in 10 years. Like I hadn't heard anything about it since then. So it was kind of a newer thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But now what's funny is like my family will ice. They'll try to ice me. I try to ice. It's like a fun thing we all kind of have, but thanks to Ryan Brown for sure. He owns it. That's why he gets iced in everything. It's part of the shtick.
Okay, I get it now, man. Makes sense. But Bite Me Bambi is performing at 1:30 at the Brew Ska Ska Saturday, September 11th. Is there going to be from any of the bands like, a moment of silence or something? Are we going to start off that way with 2:30 or something for everybody? Or are we just going to like try to make the day a little more tolerable because it is the 20th anniversary?
And I'm old enough to be, to absolutely remember that day. So to be honest, we were not planning on doing that. I think what we wanted to do is just kind of try to celebrate everybody being together, and it being one of the first events out of a pandemic, or sort of, I guess, out of a pandemic. I mean, as close as we can be right now. So no, we were not planning on doing that. I don't know if the event is planning on doing that, but that'd be something cool. I mean, it was a sad day for a lot of people, but then again, you got to look at the demographics. I mean, there's people that, it's weird. I was in a Target the other day, and I heard these people asking, they're like, oh, so during when 9/11 happened, and the guy's like, I wasn't even born yet. And I remember like looking at him like he was a grown person and thinking like, wow, that's really weird. So, but hey, that's me being an old man again. So what do you
At the very least, we'll pour one out for
sure.
memory of everybody.
Absolutely, for sure. Because yeah, man, even watching that coverage, like they always have wall-to-wall coverage this time of year, and it's this year I actually tuned into a couple things, and it was pretty heartbreaking. Some of it I was like, oh god, ugh, man. But yeah, so we got to definitely do that. We'll pour some out for the homies that have lost, for sure.
Well, Mike Berault, you slightly disappointed me because we're going to expect music instead of interpretive dance, during your set. But hey, at least we're gonna get some joy out of this.
We're gonna get a show, I guess. And when I said interpretive dance, that's mostly just with me. Like, I don't know if anybody else is gonna be doing that. Depends on how many when do the beer things open? I might, it just depends on that.
12 o'clock for VIP, 1 o'clock for what's it called, general admission, and I think we'll be there early enough to get some earlier samples before the VIPs are let in, for the sound check.
I love it. Let's do it for sure.
Mike Berault, Bite Me Bambi, thank you so much, man. 1:30 is your set. This is going on till 7 o'clock at night. Beers, brews, bros, everybody getting together here in Orange County. The Brew Ska Ska, September 11th. I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to see you again face to face. It's not Newport, but hey, this time we got beers.
It's gonna be hot, and we got plenty of beer to drink. So what else could you ask for? I look forward to seeing you there, man.
Absolutely. Remind us everyone where we can find you on social media, and if we want to pick up the latest album or all of them.
Yeah, no problem. So the album itself, we don't have them on our website right now. You can actually get them at the show. We have a few copies left of the actual record, but all of our music's available on all the streaming services and for free on Spotify. So if you want to listen to us, just look at Spotify, Bite Me Bambi, give us a follow. Also, if you want to stay in touch with the band, all the socials, just look at Bite Me Bambi on any of the socials and you'll find us. As far as stay in contact weekly, we do a weekly Twitch stream. So if you go to Twitch and look for Bite Me Bambi, you'll see us there. And we do 2 shows a week. So you can actually get on there and see us live twice a week. So it'll be that's always fun.